So you and your family want to be on Family Feud. There's you, your mom, dad, brother, sister maybe, and you're all fighting over who goes where. Mom wants to go in one spot, dad wants to go in another, but luckily for you, each spot requires specific attributes, and it is my job in this video to find out what those attributes are, so you and your family can dominate if you ever one day find yourselves face to face with Steve Harvey.
No, we're not fighting Steve Harvey, what the hell?
Anyways, before we start assigning roles to each seat, we need to look at the stats. The most important one in this case being, which seat has to answer the most questions? Well, a few episodes of Family Feud later, and here we go. Those that know a bit about stats might recognize the bell curve shape that this graph takes on, but what we can also see is that seat 3 is the spot that gives out the most answers on average. What's more glaring though, is that seat 1 averages one whole answer less per episode compared to seats 2, 3, and 4. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. With our newfound stat, let's jump right into which type of player should go into what seat. Now, I'm not saying to put your worst player at seat 1, but I'm basically saying put your worst player at seat 1. Sure, they're going to be the face of the family by being first, but at the end of the day, they give out the second least answers. And remember, even though they are the one to give out the answer for whenever it's time to steal, they aren't actually the one to come up with the answer, as that's a thing you do with your whole team. Also, if it couldn't get worse for seat number 1, you don't even need them to have fast reflexes for the face-off either. You see, in a past video, I found out that it's better to try and steal the question when there are at least 6 answers on the board, which every early question has. So, you don't really care if they win the face-off or not, because they either win the face-off and take control of the question, which is obviously good for you, or they lose the face-off and the other family chooses to play, which is something you want anyways because you're better off going for the steal. So overall for C1, you want to ideally put one of your worst answer givers and the person with the slowest reflexes in this spot. C2 is a weird spot. Their face-off question is still early in the game, so you don't want to waste a family member with the best reflexes in this spot. But C2 is part of the 3 seats that answer at least 6 times per episode, so I'd say you want your second best answer giver in this spot. Another small thing about this seat is that during the early questions where there are more answers, it's in this seat where they're left to figure out the more obscure answers when the order loops back around to them. So in seat 2, you want your most creative thinker in this spot, but also one of your best answer givers in general as well. And you don't mind if this person has bad reflexes either, because you don't really care to win the face-off, just like in seat 1. Seat 3. In the sweet spot, dead center in the middle. It's here where you want your smartest family member. This seat gives out the most answers, and they're up for the face-off during the double points question. There's not much else to say about this seat except you want your best overall answer giver in this spot, and one of your family members with the better reflexes here as well. And that basically wraps it up for seat number 3. Best player, decent reflexes, about it. And before we go into seat number 4, make sure you hit that.
Nope, we are not doing that. We are not doing that.
No? It's not cool no more? Alright, here's seat number 4 then. Just because you put your MVP of the family in seat 3 doesn't mean seats 4 and 5 aren't just as important. They're arguably even more important than seat 3 in a way. You see, we've been saving our family members with the best reflexes for these 2 seats right here. That's because C4 does their face-off during the triple points question, where there are usually only the top 4 to 5 answers on the board. This makes it harder to win the question by stealing, so much so that families have a 77.4 win rate when playing a question with 4 answers on the board, and a 68% win rate with 5 answers. And if it couldn't get any crazier, Family Feud is set up so that you basically need to win the 4th question. Even if you win the first 3 rounds, it's almost always never enough to get you over that 300-point threshold that you need to cross in order to win the game, which essentially makes question 4 the only important question to win in the entire episode. You really want your family to take control and play question 4. What I'm getting at here is that you want seat 4 to have the first or second best reflexes. And once again, since this seat gives out at least 6 answers per episode, you want someone that can consistently give out good answers in this seat. Whew, that was a lot, but last but not least, seat number 5. Sure, the seat gives out the least amount of answers by far per episode. And sure, this seat never has to do a face-off in a traditional game of Family Feud, but that's traditionally. As we discussed before, the game ends when a family reaches over 300 points. But what if both families fail to reach 300 points after the first question is over? Well, let me tell you that they both go to a sudden death round where the 5th seat from each family do a face-off with the number 1 answer and the number 1 answer only on the board. It's the first person to buzz in, and the first to guess that number 1 answer correct wins the points and the game for their family. So that is why we want the family member with the best reflexes in this spot, and ideally someone that thinks very basic. We don't want someone giving out some crazy obscure answer when answering the sudden death question. And thus, we have all our seats filled. So let's do a rundown of which attributes do best where. C1, your worst answer giver and someone with worse reflexes as well. C2, you want your second best answer giver and someone that's also a creative thinker in the spot, but doesn't need to have the greatest reflexes. C3, the best answer giver, your MVP, and someone who also has decent reflexes. C4, this is where you want to have some of your faster players and someone that can be consistent at giving good answers. And finally C5, you want the family member with the best reflexes in the spot and someone that can give basic answers on the spot. They don't need to be great. Well, there you have it. No more fighting over who goes where in which spot, as now you know the best qualities to have in each seat, so you and your family can demolish the game of Family Feud. If you like this video, like, subscribe, do whatever, I don't care. I'll be doing more deep dive game show content like this in the future. If you have another game show mystery that you want me to cover, leave it in the comments below. It helps me figure out what content you want to see next. But till then, get the freak out of here.